next demonstration I'm going to do for you is about templates, template layout sheets, and traditional templates. All right, there's 3 different forms of templates that we work with in all of our patterns. And the first one that I'm going to talk about is a paper piecing template. A paper piecing template is an oversized template designed specifically for each section on the foundation paper. Extra seam allowances are added along certain sides of each template. The extra room is needed when you position the fabric pieces under the foundation paper. After the fabric is sewn onto the foundation paper, the excess fabric is trimmed away using your add-a-quarter ruler. Now what I want to do is show you what a paper piecing template is. Right here I'm showing you two templates. One is called the CG2 unit and the other one's called the CG3 unit. If you look at these templates, what you will see is a solid line on the inside that shows the actual finished size of that template piece. The next line that you see is a dashed line that goes around it. That includes the seam allowance. And then we have added some excess paper around there, which allows us to use this for foundation paper piecing. We've done the same thing on the CG3 unit. We have our finished size, the cut size with the seam allowance, and then we actually have a paper piecing template by adding the excess around the seam allowance. I'm going to show you guys how to cut these pieces out in a very quick fashion. The first piece that I use is the CG2 piece. In order to use the template pieces, what we had to do is we cut a 4-inch strip. I go through my instructions, write down the strip sizes on my template pieces, and then I can stack all my strips and cut everything at the same time. So this is my strip, and because I'm making several of these, I'm actually going to take my strip and fold it in half like this. And the next thing I'm going to do is take this template and I'm going to lay it on my strip. Now the other thing I want you to notice on these templates is when we design a template, we design them to go on grain lines so that when you're done sewing, all your pieces are on grain and you don't have to worry about bias edges. So if we look, we have grain line here, and we have this is the cross selvage grain going this way across our piece. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take and place my ruler along this template piece and trim off that excess. Now I'm going to actually take my pencil and mark a little spot right here and flip this template around. And I'm going to take my rotary cutter and we're going to slice a rectangle. After we get that rectangle sliced, then we're going to take the next piece here and we're going to stack that rectangle onto the first rectangle. Okay. Now we're going to take these pieces that are on the fold, we're going to open it up, and we're going to stack that set of rectangles on top of the fabric again. And again, we're going to slice it along the ruler. Now what we have here is our template piece sitting there. And all I have to do is slice this piece in two. Since I've got a very thick slice of fabric, and I'm not sure how many layers, but I'm assuming there's somewhere around 30 layers of fabric here, I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to lay it right next to that template piece, remove the template, and slice it in half. And what we've done there is cut about 60 template pieces out in just a few minutes. Now we're going to take these template pieces, we're going to add the paper template to the top of our pile. We're going to grab our big binder clip. I want to clip that piece like that, fold that in, and set that over there. Okay. The next demonstration I'm going to do is a review on the technique I just showed you. We're going to take the second piece here. It's another template, and this is called the CG3 template. The strip size was cut at 3.5 inches. And we're actually going to take our piece, our strips again, and again we're going to fold these strips in half. Now I do recommend before you start folding your strips in half like this is to double check your width to make sure you can get the most length out of your fabric, because if you have to have 15 pieces out of a strip of fabric and by folding it you only end up with 12, then you're going to end up short on the pieces you need. So you need to recalculate to make sure that you can get all the pieces you need out of your strips. So again, what we've done here is we've placed our template piece onto our strips of fabric. We are on grain line again. And again, I'm going to actually take my pencil and just hold it there and flip my template piece over like this. Then we pick up our ruler, and once again we're going to slice. And then we're going to take this piece, rectangle, and stack it on top of our other fabric. And again, slice. We're going to flip this piece around like that, turn it so that our ruler's straight, place the ruler next to the paper template, and then move it. I always move my finger behind and hold on to this fabric before we finish the final cut because it has a tendency to move. It's not going to matter if it moves a little bit because remember we're working with paper piecing templates and we have lots of excess room there to allow for any discrepancy in our cutting. Again, we're going to take our binder clip and we're going to put it right onto the top of this, and we're going to put these pieces with this. The next part of this demonstration is going to show you how to set up your template pieces without any templates. What I did is I just read a measurement in my pattern. It calls for a 6-inch square to be cut into a 1/4 square triangle. So what I'm going to do is use my ruler here, and we're going to trim off the edge of the fabric along this edge. And then I'm going to turn it 90 degrees, and I'm going to cut another straight piece along this edge. Now I'm going to turn it again another 90 degree, and I'm going to find my 6-inch measurement, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm going to put my ruler right on that 6-inch piece. And we're going to cut a line there. And now I'm going to flip it around one more time. And we're going to find the 6-inch measurement, which is right there. And we're going to trim it again. Now all we have to do is take our ruler and cut our pieces from corner to corner. We're going to take this and turn it slightly so we can make a straight cut. And now again, what we've done is cut all of our triangle pieces. We're going to take another big binder clip and place it on here. And now we have the third piece for our unit. Okay, I'm going to show you the process here for stacking all of these fabrics into one large stack so that we can actually go through and chain piece these 4 foundation paper units. Okay, this unit is called a CG unit. This is the unit that we just finished cutting from the paper piecing templates. The first thing we want to do is you have to put your papers in front of you right side up. All right? And then what you want to do is stack your fabrics in the same order as what you're going to see them on your paper. And when I look at my paper, my CG3 pieces are over on this side, and my CG2 pieces are on this side, and the geese fall in the middle. All right? The next thing you have to do is you have to count. So like I'm doing 4 papers right here. If I was doing 20 papers, I would actually count my fabrics out in stacks of 20. All right? We have 8 sections on this paper, and so each one of these groupings has 4 pieces, and there's 8 different stacks of 4. There's 8 different stacks of 4 in this pile, and there's 8 different stacks of 4 in this pile. All right? The first thing I want to do is I want to go to the very last section on the foundation paper. which is section 24 on this unit. I'm going to take my fold template and I'm going to place it right along line 23 and fold the foundation paper back. This piece, this fold line right here, becomes what I call a sew side. What I have to do is take this paper template here and we slide it underneath there, and that tells me that that's the way that template piece is going to fit underneath that foundation paper. So we're going to take our first stack of fabric here and we're going to lay it to where it comes off and it looks just like my template right here. Okay, now we're going to set the template back over to the side here. Then we're going to move to the next section, which I call section 23, and we're placing the fold template on line 22. Again, we're going to come over here to the CG2 template and we're going to place it underneath there. And that shows me that this is the way this piece fits underneath the paper. This becomes my sew side right here. So when I pick up my template and I put it back, I can grab my first stack of fabric and I'm going to lay it on there like that. And that gives me my two sew sides right along the top. The next piece that goes under is going to be the geese. And the geese is a straight line across here. So if I fold it back like this, I can see from the other folds that my geese is facing this way. And it goes under there. This becomes the sew side. So it actually, and if you notice, I have a little bit of fabric hanging out on this side and this side. So that makes my template, my geese, big enough to cover the section. And now we're going to take this piece and we're going to stack it like this. Now on this foundation unit, everything is repetitious from this point back to section 1. So all I have to do is just keep duplicating my stack. So I'm going to come over here. We set our papers aside like this. We take the next stack of 4 CG3 units and we stack it on top. Then the next stack is the CG2 unit. And then we add another stack of geese. Then we go to CG3, CG2, and the geese. We go to CG3, CG2, and then we go to our geese. Go to CG3, CG2, and the geese. CG3, CG2, and the geese. 3, 2, and geese. Then we go to the 3, we go to 2, and the very last piece we always want to flip over. This is actually going to be template number 1, so we turn it over and we change it and it looks like that. Now we're going to take this stack of fabric, we put it with our foundation papers, and until we're ready to sew, we can take this and we can fold the foundation paper over the top of it. We're going to grab 2 big binder clips. And this is where your real big binder clips come in handy. And we're going to take and put a binder clip along this side. And then we're going to use another binder clip over here. And we're going to put it in on this side. This will hold my fabric pieces together with the foundation paper, and now I can set this aside back into a bag until I'm ready to actually start the paper piecing process. Okay. The next part of our demonstration is about a template layout sheet. First of all, I need to explain to you what a template layout sheet is. What we've done here with a template layout sheet is we use our paper piece templates and we group them together onto a sheet of paper. And I'm going to read you a little paragraph here how to explain it. A large sheet of paper designed with paper piecing templates. The paper piecing templates are arranged on a sheet of paper to utilize grain line, save fabric, and speed up the cutting process for the foundation paper piecing. A template layout sheet works best when using several fabrics to complete a series of blocks. Okay, now what I'm going to do is show you a series of template layout sheets that we've designed. These pieces come from a pattern that we published called the Misty Mountain Pond. And what we've done is we've taken a whole bunch of paper piecing templates and grouped them together. And this is one of our groups right here. These pieces are actually for our border fabrics. And if we flip them over, we'll actually see another set of template layout sheet here, which is called the H unit. This is the other half to the border unit right here, which this is another template layout sheet. This is the way they come in your pattern. This is a part of the border unit right here. And if I flip it over, we'll see the back side of the border unit. Now, one of the things you have to realize about a template layout sheet is that you have to have copies of these, depending on how many blocks you have to make. If you have to have 30 blocks, then you're probably only going to cut through between 10 to 15 layers of fabric, which means that if I give you a template layout sheet in your instructions, you're going to have to make 2 copies of that in order to fit onto your template pieces. There's several ways to make copies of the template layout sheets, and I will actually get into that part of the demonstration after a little bit. Okay. Now what I want to do is actually show you how to use a template layout sheet. This first template layout sheet here is called a KM unit, and it's for a foundation unit that we use in several of our patterns. One's called the 4th of July, one's called Sunflower Illusion, and another one's called Total Eclipse. What we have to do before we can set this on paper is trim around the outside of the foundation or the template layout sheet. So what we want to do is trim on the solid line here. All of our template layout sheets are set up in a box form of some type. So you just have to figure out where the outside lines are on each box. Okay. The next thing I want you to notice here is we have a section 1 template, and then we have a number 4 template, we have a 6 template, an 8 template, a 10 template, and a 12 template. The other thing I want you to see about this template layout sheet is along the edge, this is actually the outside edge of our block. So when we get through cutting all our pieces and we sew up the foundation unit, all of the outside edge of our block will all be on grain lines, so there is no bias around there. These are 2 more template layout sheets that are part of this series, and so I'm going to go through and show you how to cut these out. We have one here called the H unit and another one that's called the JKM unit. The other thing I'm going to point out to you about a template layout sheet is if you actually look on the template layout sheet, somewhere on a template layout sheet, it should tell you what size that you're going to be cutting your pieces. And this one was actually cut at the template layout sheet is 7 3/4 inches by 10 inches. When I cut the fabric pieces for this unit, the fabric piece is actually going to be cut about a 1/2 inch larger than the actual template layout sheet. We have one more template layout sheet that we have to cut out for this section. So now that we have the template layout sheets done, now what I'm going to do is show you how to actually cut them apart. We have our first piece of fabric here. We've basically pre-cut these for you so that you can see how they work. This was I believe this one was an 8-inch strip. And this is for unit H. So this piece sits right on there on the top. Now, the beauty of a template layout sheet is when you go through your instructions, it's always going to tell you how big to cut your fabric. But the other nice thing about a layout sheet is if you run out of fabric width and you want to start using a lot of scraps, all you have to do is set your scraps up, stack them, lay the template layout sheet onto the top of your scraps and cut around it. So you really don't have to read a lot of instructions once you understand how to work with a template layout sheet. If you notice on here, you can see that my fabric is larger than the actual template layout sheet. That's a good thing. Sometimes it'll be a lot closer fit than this. The one thing to realize is if I actually cut this the exact size of the layout sheet, all of this fabric is waste anyway, so there's really no reason to trim it any closer, unless I needed to save yardage as I was cutting through my actual yardage. We're going to take this piece now and we're going to put a binder clip on here to hold that piece in place. And then we're going to set this to the side. Now we're going to take the next template layout sheet and we're going to grab another stack of fabric. And here again, all I'm going to do is just cut about 1/4 of an inch outside this and not worry about what it actually tells me to cut it, because it really doesn't make a difference. And if you're wondering, I do have a garbage can down here where I'm throwing all of my fabric.